Hi, everybody. I'm Pastor Rick, author of The Purpose Driven Life, pastor of Saddleback Church, and speaker for the Daily Hope broadcast. Have I told you lately that I love you? You know, when the new year 2020 started last January, before COVID-19 pandemic spread all around the world, many people and businesses were making announcements about big plans and big visions for the new decade and for the new year. And even in churches, I'm sure many pastors were talking about their 2020 vision for their congregations. But since that time, I've often imagined that God was sitting up in heaven during that time, shaking his head, going, you guys have no idea what is about to happen in 2020. And of course, within just a few weeks, everything around the world was turned upside down. Travel came to a sudden halt, and schools and churches and businesses and sporting events and concerts and all indoor public events just shut down. And most of the plans that people have had for 2020 by now have been tossed in the trash can. If there's any single truth that this pandemic has reminded us of, it is this: none of us know the future. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, much less next year or next month or even this coming week. Just months ago, no one could have imagined how different our lives and our world would be with this pandemic. Now, to be a human being is to live your entire life not knowing the future. The future is unknown, the future is uncertain, and the future is unpredictable. Now, of course, God warns us about this many, many times in his word, the Bible. For instance, in Ecclesiastes 8:7, it says, no one knows what will happen in the future, and there is no one who can tell us. The only one who knows the future is God. That's because he's above and outside of time. He's timeless. God can see both the past and the future at the same time, and only God can do that. So I would encourage you to save your money and stop trying to figure it all out, where you buy ways to try to discover the future. In fact, let me just warn you. Every fortune teller, every psychic, every horoscope, and every other attempt to know the future in advance is fake. It's fake. God says they're all phony. None of them can predict the future. God says many, many times, nobody knows the future except God. So you can quickly prove this many ways. If a psychic calls you on the phone, what you might want to say is, if you know the future, let me ask you, how much money have you made betting on sports games? One headline you're never going to see is psychic wins the lottery. Or when a psychic calls you and asks for your name and credit card, you say to them, you tell me. You see, not knowing the future creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress in people's lives. Last month, there were several large surveys taken to find out how people are feeling about their future during this pandemic. And the results were not encouraging. In the national surveys last month, almost 50% of the people surveyed think that life for future generations